A Celtic State of Mind has been named as one of 7 finalists in the Best International Podcast category at this year's Football Content Awards. We won the Best Football Podcast Award in 2018, and it is a real achievement to be finalists once again. Thank you all for your ongoing support over the last 3 years. If you have been enjoying our daily content, then feel free to vote for A Celtic State of Mind at footballcontentawards.com. I have added the link to the bio of this episode, and the instructions and further links are also on axom.net. You can also vote on Twitter by simply tweeting "I am voting for" at AxomPod in @_FCAs for hashtag Best Podcast. Thank you again for all your support. Welcome to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and today's guest is Clyde's sporting director Graham Diamond, who has a wealth of experience in the Scottish game, having worked at all levels in Scottish football over a period of 25 years at such clubs as St Mirren, Falkirk, Partick Thistle, Motherwell and Celtic. He's also coached at the SFA and the Jimmy Johnstone Academy. Graham speaks candidly about the pros and cons of the Reconstruction proposal and gives us an instant reaction to the outcome of the vote as it happened. He also provides a bleak insight into the future of the Scottish game and how this is going to affect many of our clubs. I spoke to Graham along with Jim Simonette, who had previously coached with him at the Jimmy Johnstone Academy. This is part 1 of an interview with Graham Diamond. Part 2 will be released later on this week. We've spoken to a friend of yours, PJ Kaur, who you went to Cambodia with, and we're going to speak in more detail, Graham, in a separate podcast with yourself and PJ all around that trip and what you brought home with you after being out there a couple of times. But could you bring us bang up to date with your recent appointment at Clyde Football Club and what that's going to entail as well?
Yeah, I was very fortunate and honoured, to be honest, to be offered the job as sporting director at Clyde Football Club. It's the first appointment of a sporting director in the club's history, and it's actually a board position, so I don't really know why I'm here talking to you, because I'm a board member now. So so the role of sporting director at the club is going to be hard in any case, but in these unprecedented times it is 1,000,000% harder, because we haven't a clue what's happening. One, we've got the potential, in fact we might even know today if this has happened or not, we have the potential of reconstruction with the Scottish Football Leagues, but don't know if it's went to 14-10-10-10 or if it's staying at whatever it is, or if it's going Colt teams coming in, or if it's going to, but we'll probably find that out soon enough. We also have the fact of clubs getting relegated, i.e. Hearts, Thistle and Stranraer, who obviously have a gripe about that, and that's well documented. I won't comment on that. So what we have at Clyde is, if there is reconstruction and it does go to a 14-team Premier League, it means that Clyde will stay in Division 1, but Partick Thistle will also stay in the Championship and won't get put down to Division 1, as will Falkirk be promoted and out of Division 1, which potentially is too big away fans gate money that potentially Clyde are losing out on. So if you look at it purely from a financial point of view, it's not something that Clyde would vote on. This isn't my opinion. This is just a fact. And if it's a case of it goes to 3 14s, which was originally muted by Anne Budge, Clyde would also lose out because the top 28 would be in the Premier and the Championship, and the bottom 14 would be in the Division 2. Clyde, if you take it from Celtic being number 1 down to Brecon City, it being 42 or 40th, Clyde would be actually number 29. So they would actually lose out on being in that second tier, which obviously has more money. So when you look at it, when you're talking about finances and having to look at budgets for the following season to increase or try and increase your playing staff with more quality costs more money. Clyde are actually getting less money than they would have been if they had the status quo. So, like everything, turkeys don't vote for Christmas. And in my opinion, everything is about self-preservation, and there's not a problem with that. People can come out with these great sound bites about, it's for the good of the game. If it's for the good of the game that you're going to suffer, are you going to vote for it? And realistically, I don't think so. So, if people are honest, they will just tell you. And I'm sure now it's come out in the open that Hearts wanted the reconstruction because they want to save themselves from relegation. There's not a problem with that in my eyes. Do everything they can to do that, but don't come out and say it's for the good of the game. You know, it's for the good of Hearts if we stay in the top division. That's my opinion. It's not for the good of the game. So if there's just a little bit more transparency as far as that's concerned, then fine. So the other point being is we can't look to sign any players just now because, one, we don't know what league we'll be playing in. Two, we don't know what finances we're going to get. Three, it's going to be a bonus where we're going to get the money from James Anderson. Each club's getting £50,000, I believe, which will go to help. But we don't know when the season's going to start. And the reason why we don't know the season's going to start is the fact that the testing is a major obstacle, because it costs £50 a test for all your staff. So if you take an average staff of 30 times £50 a test times twice a week, there's £3,000. Now there's no money coming in for gate money. So teams like Clyde, who are part-time, and many others, and many in the Championship, and dare I say it, maybe one or two in the Premiership, are actually looking at throwing money down the drain potentially each week because they have no income coming in with regards to gate money and season ticket money. So what we may find happening is that teams may vote to mothball or take a season out, and that any reconstruction would potentially be the Premier League maybe staying as it is, or if it does go to 14, and then anyone else who can afford to play. So, and that is the unknown. Because if you take teams like, for example, Montrose and Peterhead, 50% of their income for the season is made up of hospitality. They sell out their 18 home, or how many home games it is, 18 home games right at the start of the season, and they know they've got that money guaranteed right to the end. So Peterhead are now losing 18 home games of income, which is 50% of their budget. Now, it's slightly different at Clyde. We don't own the stadium. The stadium's owned by North Lanarkshire Council at Broadwood. We don't have hospitality. We don't even have the pie stall. We don't even have advertising. So we're in a slightly different position that we're not losing as much money, but many other clubs are. And for to have to pay £3,000 minimum per week, every week, times how many weeks, without any income coming in through crowds, is going to see many clubs really, really struggle. So it's such an imponderable of where we are and how we're going to get to the next level, and if we're going to get to the next level. So it's a kind of long-winded way of saying we don't really know at the moment what is happening. Until there's a vaccine, then all kind of bets are off technically.
It just brings home as well, Graham, just how precarious the financial situation is for the majority of the clubs in Scotland.
Every penny is a prisoner, Paul.
See, when you look at that, and with your history of developing youth players, for the bigger clubs who may be able to operate with these additional costs of the testing, do you feel that there's going to be a much bigger onus on focusing on the youth again, like we used to?
Right, yeah, I get that. But what you're also going to get now is teams, as I say, every penny's a prisoner. So if we take it from the top, we're talking about trying to put Celtic Rangers putting in Colts teams, and I can see the benefits of it, and I can see the other side of it as well. But if we look at the possibility of streamlining players, in other words, players who are on the periphery are not really going to stand a chance of being a first team player, let's be honest. They're going to get released. Now they're going to have to try and find somewhere where to play. So they're not going to go up the way. They're not going to go down to England and play in the Premier down there. So if you're playing at a top level here with a top level club not playing, if you're at a top level club here with the wages that you would expect to be earning with a top level club, they're going to have to go down the way. So therefore, are they going to get the same wage they're on? No. Are they even going to be full time? Maybe not, because there are many full time clubs other than the Championship. So therefore, if you take that down a level again, so the players who are in the Championship who get released are going to have to come down to the Division 1 and vice versa, down to Division 2, down to the lowering league, down to the new pyramid system, blah, blah, blah. So there's going to be a downturn in everything. Wages, opportunities. Will teams play younger players? Maybe. Will teams look to take loan players from Celtic and Rangers? Potentially. Because if I give Clyde as an example, at the moment, last season there was a playing squad of 20. We have 8 players currently on contract. This is our second season of a 2-year deal, and we have 12 out of contract. So we have money ring-fenced for these 8 players because they have to be paid. Now the other 12, do we take the chance of releasing them? Whether in normal circumstances we would have liked to have kept them, but now do we release them? And with that money, do we then look to Celtic Rangers and say, okay, you look to put players out on loan? Are there young players who they're looking to put out on loan better than the players that potentially we're releasing? So there's your kind of dilemma. Now, if these clubs are paying the wages of the young players going out, then there's a saving for releasing the players that you have just now. Morally, is that right? Is that something you want to do? I don't know. I don't think so. Does morals now come into it? Or is it pure finance? And in a lot of cases, clubs can potentially go bust. So what you're now finding happening is teams in the Lowland League are actually being invested in to be ready that if, for example, 3, 4 or 5 clubs from the second division suddenly say we can't compete or fold, and I'm talking real dire circumstances here, fold, they could be ready to come in. And I give an example of a East Kilbride, BSC Glasgow, teams of that ilk who are playing in the Lowland League, who the top junior teams, Auchinleck, Pollocks, these teams are getting ready for potentially going straight in as part of a reconstruction. So there's so many different variances, and I think there will be casualties if teams are able to continue to put $3,000 a week almost into a black hole. It's a horrible, horrible situation. So I'm sorry for sounding so downbeat, but I think it's more realistic than most people would think.
I think so, and we've spoken a few times over the weeks as well, Graham, about how that would leave clubs like Celtic who wish to continue to progress. If the entire structure of the Scottish game will be weakened as a result of this, which it undoubtedly will be for a period of time, and it will happen and it will affect other leagues in other countries. also. Do you think we'll see a situation temporarily or otherwise where some leagues actually merge?
Potentially, yeah. Potentially. I don't think it'll be cross-border. If you take the Scottish League, the Sky deal, which is still on the table, which is quite substantial as far as I'm aware, will they, as a sponsor, be happy with the league being diluted in quality of player that they're going to be seeing? Or would they welcome Hearts still staying up so they get an Edinburgh derby? Would they welcome Inverness coming up so they get a Highland derby? All these different things. The bottom line for me is, as long as they get their 4 Old Firm games, then they'll be quite happy to keep on the same financial exposure that they're willing to. Financial commitment that they're willing to put in. So the big problem for me is, could it be one division of the top teams, and potentially one division of perhaps say 20 as a backup? So a Premier and a Championship, and we lose divisions 1 and 2 until such times as there is a vaccine formed to get us back to some sort of normality. However, what happens to these communities that these teams are playing in? What happens to your Elgins? What happens to your Peterheads for the communities that are playing there? That can have a devastating effect. And will they come back? Who knows? Who knows?
And Jim, how will this fallout from the pandemic affect youth football in Scotland going forward?
It's not just all quite, but maybe some people are thinking out there that it's all clear cut, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. There's a lot of ifs and buts. Youth players, I think, will find it more difficult. The majority of youth players will find it more difficult to get into the teams. The ones with maybe the attitude that's a wee bit different and they stand out a wee bit more has got more of a chance. But professional clubs, I think, will go with the more experienced players to stay within their squad, because they want to keep up, and wherever they finish in the league, their payment at the end of the season is important, etc., etc. So it's difficult times ahead for Scottish football, world football in general. But the Scottish game we love, and I really don't know how it's all going to transpire out and how they go forward. I don't know.
The reality check for me is the expectation of young players' wages. Whereas before they maybe look for get £200, £300, £400 a week or whatever that is. As a young player, that ain't happening. That will not happen. That's probably one of the things I would put my hat on with regards to that. So there has to be a real reality check for the expectation of wages, particularly part-time. Because really, at the end of the day, what you're looking for is you're not going to make money in your first club, and particularly a Clyde. If you're a Celtic or a Rangers young player and you're released, and Clyde take you and give you the opportunity to be exposed to first team football, then you're not going to make money at Clyde. Where you are going to make your money for it is if you do well. Then your next move, then you can start to maybe think, okay,
absolutely,
I've done this, that, next thing. I've scored 30 goals. I'm 19. I've scored 30 goals in Division 1. I've been playing every week and doing well. And that's where you make your money. You don't make your money on your first club having been released from one of the Old Firm or any Premier club. Do we have any information about how the meeting went today?
Didn't vote for it.
They didn't vote for it. So is it status quo? We're delighted with that then, financially. Mm-hmm. If Thistle and Falcon went up, more chance of us winning the league and getting promoted is heightened. But for the actual finances, that 2 games against Thistle and 2 games against Falkirk.
Well, it's a Glasgow derby, isn't it?
It's a Glasgow derby, and the two of them, Falkirk have a good support they bring. Yeah. So the chairman will be pleased. The manager less so. So you've always got that balancing that to go with. We're getting more money in potentially, but it's going to be harder for to beat a Thistle who are a full time and Falkirk who are full time. So swings and roundabouts.
So obviously it's great the Clyde, Partick Thistle, Celtic and Rangers, a tournament that's quite close to my heart is the Glasgow Cup.
Yes.
So I would probably like to. I know it's played with the youths at the moment, and it's something that that I've been going to all these years. And it was great that one of our ex-players actually played in a Glasgow Cup final.
Junior.
Correct, Junior. But Junior was with Rangers and they beat Celtic, and he scored the 2 goals. So it's the second oldest trophy in the football tournament in the world, and the second oldest trophy in the world. Are you still got the passion and the love for cups and trophies like that, like the Glasgow Cup, Graham?
Of course, we want to win it. We want to win it. We entered the tournament last year, or Clyde entered the tournament last year. I wasn't there. And it's not just for youths, Jim. I think it's the Celtic and Rangers both play youth teams. But I went to watch, actually.
Sorry, in Queen's Park as well. My apologies. Queen's Park as well.
I went to watch Clyde actually playing Rangers at Murray Park last year. And Clyde had Greg Wild playing in the team, was 28. They had Darren Smith, who's 31, 32. So I think the Thistles and the Clydes and the Queen's Parks do play older players, not just youths. So it's not specifically it's a must play youths. Play them if you want, get them experience.
But it's a great tournament just to keep going.
Of course, it's it's tradition, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Part of Scottish football tradition now. Graham, we'll be hearing from you again when you rejoin us with PJ Core for your trips to Cambodia. But all that's left for Jim and I to say today is thank you for joining us on A Celtic State of Mind.
Well, thank you, Paul. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you,
very
Graham.
much.
Thank you.
A pleasure. Thank you. A Celtic State of Mind has been named as one of 7 finalists in the Best International Podcast category at this year's Football Content Awards. We won the Best Football Podcast Award in 2018, and it is a real achievement to be finalists once again. Thank you all for your ongoing support over the last 3 years. If you have been enjoying our daily content, then feel free to vote for A Celtic State of Mind at footballcontentawards.com. I have added the link to the bio of this episode, and the instructions and further links are also on axom.net. You can also vote on Twitter by simply tweeting I am voting for @AxomPod in @the_FCAs for #BestPodcast. Thank you again for all your support.